The technologies that are in these classified projects, quote unquote free energy, 0 point or magnetic flux field generation systems that have been suppressed. If we keep all of this information secret, we're going to destroy the biosphere.
Are clean, technologically viable free energies a reality or simply wishful thinking? Could it be that technologies such as zero-point energy, cold fusion, and the water-fueled engine do exist, yet are being suppressed?
Throughout history, the most important ideas have been scuttled by the mainstream. Here we are talking about a multi-trillion-dollar per year energy economy that's based mostly on oil. The world is being destroyed by these technologies.
Claims of free energy technology suppression are nothing new. Nikola Tesla himself sought the means for free energy with his Wardenclyffe Tower in Colorado Springs in 1901. By all accounts, Tesla would have been successful had it not been for a lack of funding. When titans of industry, such as J.P. Morgan, realized the threat that free energy posed to their own prosperity, they pulled their support for Tesla, leaving him to languish in obscurity. Eugene Malov, who claimed to have successfully demonstrated cold fusion, allegedly had his results suppressed through ridicule and exclusion.
The science writer for MIT, Eugene Malov, he was basically shoved out of MIT for his heresy. He then went on his own and began editing Infinite Energy magazine and became one of the world's foremost spokesmen for new energy technologies.
He was later found murdered in his childhood home in 2004. Ohioan Stanley Meyer maintained that he had invented a water fuel cell that could power a car instead of gasoline, yet asserted that a lawsuit against him, claiming he had committed gross and egregious fraud in regard to his invention, was nothing more than an organized smear campaign. Meyer died suddenly in 1998 while dining in a restaurant with two Belgian investors. Stanley suddenly ran outside saying, "They poisoned me," before dropping dead.
Fortunately, there have been many people that have been working on these technologies all over the world. You see a given inventor who's very successful and can actually have a working prototype. That's where it can become dangerous. And that's been true throughout the history of radical energy development.
This must change in our society today. We have a basis to understand why these devices are possible. This investigation is one of the most important scientific investigations on the planet, and currently it is very ill-funded, it's not well understood, and very little people know about the need to make this a priority in our world.
Are technologies of non-earthly origin being suppressed as well? John Lear, Bob Lazar, and many others have claimed the existence of reverse-engineered energy and propulsion systems from alien technology for decades.
Bob told us that they were going to test the alien craft that night. Bob's job was to back engineer to see if we could get that technology. He told me in detail how the antimatter reactor worked. This is the antimatter reactor, and this is where it sits in the middle of the craft.
If reversed alien technology is real, then what is the energy source used to power these vehicles? One possibility is zero-point energy, or the lowest possible energy a quantum mechanical system can have. It is theorized that with the power of zero-point energy, we could tap into the vacuum of space and pull an endless amount of clean energy.
Everything changes very dramatically from this simple, fundamental understanding that space is full of energy and it's the source of creation. If we extract 1/1000000000 of a billionth of a billionth of a percent of the energy that's in a centimeter cube of space, we would have enough energy to run our planet for thousands of years.
By harnessing the power of zero-point energy, we may ultimately discover the solution to our growing demand for energy and open the potential to new propulsion systems that could take us beyond our solar system.
We're talking about a society that has access to their solar system, to most likely their galaxy, are able to go from one universe to another, even open wormholes, travel at instantaneous speeds across the universe.
But is it possible that a clandestine group within the government is keeping this existing technology under wraps and will stop at nothing to conceal it from the public?
Bill Colby had been read into this. In his retirement, he was going to try to get one of these so-called zero-point energy systems to us with some funding. That week that he was going to meet with a member of my board of directors, they found him floating down the Potomac River. Assassination team had taken him out, made it look like a drowning or a suicide.
With the Invention Secrecy Act enacted in 1951, the U.S. government gained the means to control the release of new technologies that might threaten the national defense and economic stability of the country. The act is still in effect today, with an ever-increasing amount of secrecy orders being issued every year. So why would these groups within government keep the reality of free energy so secretive and out of the public arena when it could be the solution to so many of the problems we face in the world today?
By the mid-50s onwards, we have not needed oil, gas, coal, rockets, nuclear jets, cars. The good news here is that this is fixable. The cure, some people view as worse than the illness, in the sense that at this point it would disrupt hundreds of trillions of dollars in fossil fuel and infrastructure assets and what have you, in order for these zero-point and other technologies to come out.
Considering the consequences of our current trajectory, should the introduction of zero-point energy into the public sphere be seen as a necessary move, no matter the disruption it may cause to the stranglehold global corporations have on our lives?
This is an enormous problem, because in the 50s, it would have been a daunting thing to take on. To do it now, you have much more of the world dependent on this centralized energy and corporate and petrodollar system than you did in 1945 or 55 or 65 or even 75. But we need to move on into this next chapter of, not only for the benefit of humanity, but for Gaia and for the sustainability of this planet.
Would it ultimately be in humanity's best interest to release the technology? And if so, what can we do to pressure those secretive gatekeepers into releasing it?
I think the whole thing ought to be open source. Just put out there for the benefit of everybody. Human civilization has to raise its consciousness enough so that these technologies and the ones to follow could be responsibly implemented.
It is the only path to sustainability. We must learn to extract energy from this source of energy that is at the foundation of creation and utilizing that as the power source of your society. This will transform everything we know, and we are arriving at this point.
According to researchers and insiders like Dr. Stephen Greer, Bob Lazar, and Foster Gamble, if rolled out responsibly and kept out of the wrong hands, free energy could save the world in one generation.